right, welcome to Secret Biohacks. I'm your host, Matt Russell, and today we have a special guest. This is Dominick DeCarlo, and what's really cool is that we are now going to combine in this podcast biohacking with hypnosis. And if you don't know Dominick here, he's a famous hypnotist, like super famous, the most famous person we've ever had in the studio by a lot, for sure. So Dominick, go ahead and introduce like some of the past things that you've done, because I think that's super fascinating.
So, first of all, thank you so much for having me on the show. I don't know, where do I begin? There's so much. I've been doing this for 18 years. The fascinating things, well, let me just start by saying hypnosis has two schools, so to speak.
Sure.
The entertainment side and the help therapeutic side, to help people rid their fears, phobias, challenges, addictions, and even pain. So the fun things about the entertainment side is I love the show because I never know I'm going to pick and who's going to be up on stage. I never know how they're going to react under hypnosis.
So you pick people totally spontaneous. It's not staged.
No.
Okay.
No.
I know people ask that sometimes. Yeah,
all the time. And to be honest, I wish it were staged. It would make my job a lot easier.
The screening process to make sure.
Oh my God, yeah, and you know, theoretically, 70% of the population is hypnotizable, 30% is not. So theoretically, if I pick 21 people to come up on stage, they could be part of that 30%, and then I go through the hypnosis process, and guess what? No one gets hypnotized. I don't have a show. So I actually shake 1 hour on the money before the show starts. I get really nervous. Even after 18 years, people can't believe it. So if it were staged, I wouldn't have those nerves.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I really sometimes wish we could just stage it. It would make my job backstage and an hour before the show very easy. But I like the thrill of asking complete strangers to come up on stage, seeing if they're hypnotizable. One thing that's fascinating about the show is every single show, unlike like a Broadway show, is different. You do a Broadway show, with all due respect, you go through the creative process. People learn their lines, they're blocking the songs. It's the same. Once opening night starts, it's locked in, and it's kind of like robotic, right? With my show, yeah, we have our scenes that I perform, but the body is different because people react differently every single night because we're using different people. So that makes it very exhilarating for me. And then on the, therapy side, I've branded a concept called HypnoHelp. It's helping people through hypnosis. And it's just, people come to me, they're not on the best track, or they're on a good track. They just have some anxiety, or they get nervous before taking an exam. And so people can come and get hypnotized to overcome those. So when you send them back out in the real world and they are making changes, such as they're not drinking anymore, they're not smoking anymore, they're losing weight, they're exercising more, they don't have their depression, that to me is very rewarding, because, there's so much negativity right now in the world, and people deal with different situations in different ways. Some people choose a good path, some people choose a bad path, and to get those people that are not taking such a good path to finally take a better path and completely manifest their life, that to me is extremely rewarding.
So I'm curious, because I know that you have two sides. One is the full-on entertainment, I'm here to put on a show. And then, like you said, the HypnoHelp side. Which side do you get the most out of personally? Like, what's the most fulfilling? Like,
the entertainment side, I'm a true showman by heart. I am not going to lie. I like helping people on an individual basis, a group basis with HypnoHelp. But if I had a chance to do 2 shows a night for the rest of my life, every single night, I would definitely take that up.
Now, I haven't had a chance to go to your shows, but I've been to a couple of hypno shows, and they were a blast. I had so much fun. The people I was with had fun. It was
Did someone in your group get hypnotized?
Yes.
See, that makes it very real, because you know that your best friend.
Oh yeah, I'm a skeptic. I was a skeptic.
Is not an actor, no relationship, right? Because you know them. So that's when it becomes really real.
Well, and then, getting to know a little bit more about the hypno side with Dominick today prior to filming was, we talked about mindset, we talked about manifestation, because hypnotherapy really is just working in your subconscious mind, which is very suggestible, which helps you figure things out without your consciousness and your pre-programming dictating the way you think and the direction that you take thoughts.
Exactly
and
right.
So, we talked about that, and I go, man, that is so relatable to biohacking, is the mindset, the manifestation, the actually controlling your thoughts and veering away from that programming that we've all been brought up with. I mean, that's our whole cycle. So it was kind of unique to have you explain it to me how it does work. So kind of tell us how it works on the subconscious part of your mind, because I think that's important.
How hypnosis works.
Yeah, how hypnosis works.
So like the analogy that I think most people relate to is we've all been at the gym and we've all taken breaks from the gym. So let's pretend that you haven't been at the gym in a year and you decide to go back and you are kind of making up for lost time and you really hit it hard the first day. What are you going to feel the next day or the next day after?
You mean besides feeling like, did you see my gains? Right? I went to the gym once, I got all these gains, right? Now, yeah, you're going to be sore. You're going to be beat down. Yeah.
Exactly. So when muscles are stressed at the gym, the result that your body reacts is producing lactic acid. And that lactic acid is the chemical reaction that makes us feel that soreness, right? So similarly, the subconscious mind doesn't really get exercised on a day-to-day level, so to speak. So what us hypnotists do is we walk them through, it's kind of a guided meditation. It's called an induction. And it's exercising the subconscious mind, to parallel the metaphor, right? So when you exercise a part of the brain that's typically not used to being exercised, no, lactic acid is not going to be produced and your brain's not going to feel sore. But for some people, actually 70% of the people, they become highly, highly suggestible. So when we get people into that highly suggestible state, we can have a lot of fun with it on the entertainment side and create a very entertaining, fun, outrageous show. Or we can use it very therapeutically, right, for people to help with their fears, phobias, challenges, and addictions to make, better changes in their life, which is called positive behavior modification.
Okay. So one of the things that I was very curious about when you talk about manifesting, and this is a belief system that maybe not everybody shares, but energy drives everything. And so we always talk about, we're physics before biology, we're oscillating, vibrating particles of energy at different frequencies. And so when you talk about what manifesting is, it's really a belief system and changing your belief to whatever reality that you are believing. And then that is the energy you send out at those frequencies, because that's your belief. And then that's what the universe reflects back to you. So that becomes the reality. Some people call it a timeline shift. Some people, there's lots of different descriptors of it. So you're essentially taking somebody, giving them a new belief system while they're highly suggestible, because their subconscious mind is taking over, which is also the most powerful time to manifest, is your subconscious mind. And then that becomes their new reality. So then they're highly suggestible things. Like, what are some of the things you suggest to people on stage that really get the big laughs and bring the crowd to life?
Oh God, there's so many. Wow. I would say the top three are suggesting they're in Las Vegas and they just hit the $5 million jackpot.
That would be good.
People get so excited,
Sure.
screaming, yelling, hugging the strangers next to them, because in their minds, they think they won. I have had some people cry because, they obviously, were in debt, and this is a quick solution, right, to fix. Yeah. I mean, people really get emotional. They get very excited, and then 1, 2, 3 1, 2, 3 money gone, and then their look on they're like devastated. They're crushed, and then you see really the quick difference, or the distinct difference, between how one suggestion could cause someone to be so excited out of the blue, and then 1, 2, 3 money gone, and they're like depressed in an instant. So what I like to say hypnosis is, or what I do is I induce almost like a placebo effect into the subconscious mind. And for those of you who don't know what a placebo is, let's take someone with a headache. You give them an aspirin. Some people, the headache will decrease. Some will immediately, not immediately, but be eliminated in time. Other people have no effect, right? So then you do another group. You give them 2 pills instead of 1. Some people may need that additional milligram, right, for that headache to go away. Other people will be not affected. Then you have another group, which is the placebo group, and you give them a water pill. But you tell them it's an aspirin.
Sure.
And for some people, they truly believe that's an aspirin, and their headache will be eliminated.
So have you ever suggested on stage, like, I'm giving you drugs, like here's LSD and you're going to hallucinate, and have you ever done anything like that?
No, because that kind of goes against my moral code.
Okay.
I'm trying to get people away from that. I don't want people to experience it and then, oh my God, this is great. Maybe I should do it in real life.
Yeah,
Right.
Well, and so when we talked about how hypnosis can help you, at a physical level, it's back to that energy and that different frequency and the different thoughts that are in your mind. And so when you're programming that subconscious mind, one of the things that we both had talked about being very powerful is our pre-programming. And so pre-programming is just the belief system we have that, we know the sky is blue, we know the grass is green. Like if somebody told us something differently, we would say, no, that's not what it is. Like just things that we know, 2 + 2 is 4. Like nobody could convince us otherwise because we're programmed for that. And so in the light of concrete physical evidence that you can tactfully see, touch, feel, experience, you will still reject ideas that take you away from that belief system. And so many of us are caught in a trap of that as far as our mindfulness, and we get away from that. And you said how powerful it is, the power of taking your mood from just a suggestion. And so I think a lot of people experience that, and they lose sight of gratitude, and they lose sight of love and caring. And so, we talked about how you're going to kind of transition from the entertainment side to helping side. And I found it really fascinating that you've created a whole, we dated ourselves. I said a whole system of DVDs. No, nobody has a DVD player. We get that. Okay, yeah. But a learning system through your hypnosis that people can experience, they can purchase, and then have that HypnoHelp come their way. And what a clever name you came up with of HypnoHelp.
Help through hypnosis.
Yeah, and I thought that was fascinating because it follows along that mindset and that subliminal messaging through your subconscious mind and how powerful it can really be. And so, share like one of your experiences. And I know we talked about cigarettes, and that was one of the things. What do you suggest that would make people not want to use cigarettes? Because that was pretty interesting. I think would be good to share.
So when people come to me that are smokers, actually, I'm gonna revert back and give you a different example. I went to Chicago with my parents for my mom's elder sister's 90th birthday. And I have met cousins, second cousins that didn't even meet me yet, right? Because they're young. And they found out I'm a hypnotist. And all the kids run around, will you hypnotize me? Will you hypnotize me?
I'm feeling the same way right now, actually.
And, and I said, this is your great grandmother's 90th birthday. It's about her. It's really not about me. So then they went over.
Let's hypnotize grandma.
Right. Better yet, grandma or your great grandma, will you allow Dominick, and oh, sure, do whatever you want, So she kind of approved, right? So I hypnotized some relatives, some people I didn't know, a couple of waiters and waitresses that were, working the room. And my first cousin, very, very skeptical. Okay. And he was a smoker. Okay.
And so people that are skeptical, are they harder to hypnotize usually? Is there
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. If they think they're going to, prove to me that they're not going to get hypnotized, they're going to win 100%.
Okay.
It's that.
Yep.
You know, it's not like voodoo where I can just magically wave my hands or look at people, a group of people in a room, and boom, they're just all fallen, you know, under the influence of hypnosis. It doesn't work like that. You have to concentrate. It's a guided meditation. It does take anywhere from 3 to 10 minutes. But my cousin, who was a smoker, was very, very skeptical. Well, one of the waiters, he said he would be hypnotized, but he was a smoker too. Okay, so I hypnotized 3 or 4 people from the group. Got hypnotized. I did, you know, winning Las Vegas and taking them to Antarctica, thinking that it's 30 degrees below zero, and some people got goose pimples, and you know it's 70 degrees in the room. How can you fake getting goosebumps, right? So because the waiter had kind of told me that he was a smoker, I threw a non-smoking suggestion in very graphically. From this point forward, every time you see a pack of cigarettes, it's daggers staring at you in the face. These are the sharpest daggers you have ever experienced and witnessed. If those daggers come even, you know, 3 to 4 feet from your mouth, you will experience the worst taste you have ever had. If they go into your mouth, you will feel as if your tongue is going to be cut. It's going to be so painful. So I'm really dramatic in these suggestions, hoping that if 50% of that suggestion sticks when we wake them up, they're going to be adverse to cigarettes. Mm-hmm. So what you were talking about, that pre-programming, cigarettes are good. This is how I get through my day. This is how I relax. This is how I get through stress. That's what's going through their mind. So what I do is stimulate that subconscious mind to try to make it suggestible and kind of rewire that thought process that cigarettes are going to get you through the day. I'm throwing those examples in that are graphic to hopefully counteract that pre-programming that you mentioned.
Right.
Right. And sometimes it wins out and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it works for a day or two and then they resort back to their pre-programming. That's why we suggest to follow up with our HypnoHelp audio programs, to do it every morning, every night, every day for 3 weeks. Some people, one session is all they need. Other people, I could do it every single day for the rest of their life and it's never going to work. Right. So after I woke them up, you know, my skeptical cousin was like, oh, you know, that was interesting. And we kind of like, well, thank you, everybody, you know, and the waiter, you know, went back. He's, no. This is the real test. And my cousin pulled out a cigarette and put it in front of the guy that I hypnotized to be adverse to cigarettes.
Sure.
The waiter ran out of the restaurant. He thought my cousin was trying to kill him because in his mind, it was a dagger that he was pointing at him.
That's pretty powerful. I mean, that you can't fake that, right? I mean, that's just...
It was a complete stranger to me.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if my cousin met the waiter when they were planning this party, but I'm sure they didn't talk about their smoking habits or, you know, my cousin from California is coming out and he's a hypnotist, right? I don't think any of that happened.
Well, and so one of the terms you mentioned was positive behavior modification. And that sticks with me, or at least it resonates with me in the sense of when you are manifesting, you're trying to change your life, your situation, you know, trying to biohack your own brain with these thoughts, these new frequencies. It's the same thing as you want to fill it with positive thoughts, positive energy, things that are taking you down a path that you want to be on, right? But you don't want to be on it. You just are on it. You just believe it. Instead of having an energy that is, you're lacking it because you always want it, you just live in that energy. And so they're living in that energy of cigarettes are bad, you know, right? And so
correct.
To me, it's such a symbiotic relationship. And I had never really put hypnosis in that biohack category, but it could absolutely be a biohack to change your life, to level up your health, whether it's cigarettes that's poisoning you, alcohol that's poisoning you,
drugs that are destroying people's lives, killing people prematurely.
I see a lot of people that, you know, they hit the gym that one time and, well, now they earned the right to, you know, go get some ice cream and eat a bag of potato chips because I worked out so hard. I mean, you're just undoing everything, but
again, it's going back to that pre-programming
Yeah.
or your habits.
Right. And when you're little kids, what do you get as a reward for all the good things you do?
Candy.
Sugar, right? Ice cream. You don't get any of those good things until you do the things that you didn't want to do. So now you force yourself to do something and you feel that need to reward yourself in those ways because it's programming. So you have to undo that. And the subconscious mind is such an incredible, powerful thing that, like you said, is not exercised. It's not tapped into.
It isn't. Hypnosis is a completely untapped market.
But, and I want to be, at least from my point of view, and I'm sure you've experienced this, hypnosis falls in that category for some people that it's voodoo and it's taboo. I mean,
I've been called the devil.
Yeah. Well, we mentioned like a magician. Some people think magic is great, and some people think magic is black magic. Yeah. I mean, it's just
all it is illusion. I mean, do those people who think that it's black magic when they put the metal slate between a woman who's in a box, they're actually cutting the woman. I mean, come on, it is a illusion, right?
Right.
But unfortunately, there's a certain segment of the community or of society that thinks that this is like devil's work. I think it's silly.
But a lot of it too is
it's art.
The energy aspect too is that we're never taught that. We talk about the five senses, but there's so many more senses than that fall onto the energy side, onto the emotion side, to things that actually carry weight and power that we don't even have words for it. So
we actually have a HypnoHelp topic, develop your ESP.
See, and there you go. Yeah. Is that just like empathy for other people or just
it's just
connecting?
Tapping into your extrasensory perception.
And
because we all have it, and some people have it more than others, but this hypnotic program kind of helps develop that.
And so I'll get one step weirder because that's kind of where I go sometimes is I personally believe, and I tell people that your brain is an antenna and your brain is a supercomputer, but it's accessing information through this antenna. And so when you talk about ESP and supernatural or psychic abilities, it's not psychic, it's you're tapping into the energy of the universe, and your antenna is tuned that way. So you can tune into other people's emotions and feelings because those are on frequencies. And if you can, just like a radio dial, you change it from 99.9 to 100.1, it's a whole new station with a different singer and a different voice
or static,
right? Yeah, I mean, it's so like people. That's a great way to relate it is frequency, like on a radio. It's a different radio frequency. Now, that's almost like DVDs. Tuning your radio dial. You don't do it like this. Sorry, yeah, but yeah, I think it's great to like bring in somebody new, and then it's kind of funny how we got brought together. And I don't believe in coincidences. I don't either. Everything is happening. It's meant to happen that way. The energy of the universe is pulling us. And so this is where I kind of joke and go, this is the power of pickleball. Bum, 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 right?
Yep.
Pickleball brings people together.
That's so true.
Yeah. And so tell us about just your pickleball experience right now, because you're doing something that, I don't know, there's a lot of people who are going to watch this. They're going to be absolutely insanely jealous of the life you're living right now.
And never jealous, always envious.
Envious, yes.
Right?
Yeah,
right. So I am blessed. I live in an RV full time, and I travel to Pickleball City throughout the United States, playing the sport. And I was in Gilbert, Arizona, and a friend of mine from Tucson called, and they're having some Apple state champion in La Mirage. And she says, "Will you come support us? You're right there." I said, "Sure." So I kind of positioned my weekend to be in La Mirage Surprise area. So Friday night I went to Surprise, where I played, when I first started.
I have to correct you real quick. El Mirage.
You're right. It is El Mirage.
El Mirage, and locals will even call it El Mirage, just to be funny.
But, okay. You're right. It is El Mirage.
Yeah. So El Mirage is a huge pickleball mecca here. They've got places
that I did not know.
20 plus courts in one little community. And I mean, there's pickleball. It's insane. Obviously, Arizona, it's the Sunshine State.
Yeah.
Pickleball is 9 months out of the year. People are still playing, but it's hot as heck.
Yeah. And if the 3 months are playing at 5 a.m. and like at 10 at night.
Yeah, it's still 105 at 10
Correct.
at night, but at least the sun's down.
Correct. So I after watching my friends play in the Apple League, I went to Surprise because I've played there 2.5 years ago when I first started, and wanted to try to reunite with people that maybe I met 2.5 years ago. And I randomly got in a foursome, and we had a great time. And that was Jeff. And, he kept on wanting to play, and we're like, okay. And then we're like, okay, one more game. He's like, guys, like, I got to work tomorrow. And I'm like, oh, what do you?
There's never a bad time when you're playing pickleball. There's honestly never a bad time when you're hanging out with Jeff. Jeff's our sales director here. And I mean, I'm telling you, every time I play pickleball, I meet super fun people, super unique people. Our paths came together because of that, because of pickleball.
Yep.
And then we find out we have all these things in common, both from the mental side, the biohack side, the hypnosis and biohacking. I never would have put those two together until we started talking.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. And here we are doing a podcast about it.
So. That's when you make yourself open, right? And
absolutely.
you manifest that will be attracted back.
Definitely. Absolutely. Well, is there anything else that is dying and pressing on your mind? I definitely want to plug one more time is your HypnoHelp series, because tell us the topics that you have available that people can look into to level up their health and make some changes.
Sure. Well, I mean, there's 30 of them. I don't want to, yeah. But I mean, the big ones are weight loss, smoking, drugs, airplane anxiety, memory improvement, ESP development, quit biting your fingernails.
Basically anything that you don't like about what you're currently doing, you've got to
correct
something for that, and probably more to come.
Correct.
I know we identified some already, that there's going to be some new ones on the horizon.
Correct. So watch out for those. And you can always go to DominickDeCarlo.com to get more information, or, contact us. It's DOMINICK. My mother wanted that CK imagery, that Calvin Klein imagery in my name. So it's CK. DeCarlo, DECARLO.com.
And thanks for joining us for another episode of Secret Biohacks, and we'll see you in the next video.